Tonight on Frontline,
a multi-billion-dollar a year industry.
the debate over supplements.
How could it be that you can sell something without any evidence that it's safe or effective?
They say their products will make you healthier.
Consumers derive a benefit. Over half the country every day takes a supplement safely and effectively.
But critics say that many have fraudulent claims, could be dangerous, and should be regulated.
It almost takes a sacrificial lamb to die before the Food and Drug Administration can take any action.
Correspondent Gillian Findlay investigates.
Oh, that doesn't smell good.
Very strong, fishy smell.
Supplements and safety. A Frontline New York Times special report.
This is a product that was formulated for people who are under severe
This
stress.
is an herb that would be great for older individuals that are concerned about
Joint
their
supplement.
It's estimated that half of all Americans take a health supplement every day.
That one is going to be amazing for supporting
Encapsulates the nutrients in a non-GMO soy less
antioxidant.
It's a $30+ billion industry.
I will guarantee you that this will change your reality within 3 to 5 days.
Companies range from big pharma to mom and pop.
I started in my kitchen, making them by hand back in the 80s. I would order the ingredients, I would order the capsules, and with a plate of 100 capsules, I would weigh it out and fill them up, and you have a bottle of 100 capsules of any particular vitamin you wanted.
Do you have background in pharmacology or medicine or any expertise in this area?
I did some college, but most of my time was spent in the medical libraries at Stony Brook.
So you sort of were self-taught then, were you?
Self-taught, correct, yes.
Candace Tripp called her company Purity First. She says she was helped by her then husband, Terrence Doolin, a chiropractor. And what was his academic background or expertise in this area?
He was a chemist. He was a chemist in college, and then he went on to chiropractic school.
From modest beginnings, she says she grew the business into a $500,000 a year enterprise, selling on the web, in stores, and through local alternative healthcare providers.
Purity First is a great name, and I said, gee, how can you go wrong? It's what you would imagine that you would want in every single vitamin, that it's absolutely pure.
Vinnie Grosso was an early Purity First customer. The vitamins became part of his daily quest for better health.
I felt fine, and of course, you know, I'm running every day, I'm feeling great up until the October, November, December timeframe of 2012, where I had some very unusual symptoms.
It started with unexplained back pain that soon became debilitating. He then started hearing from other Purity First customers with troubling symptoms of their own.
I'm hearing stories. My daughter is an honor student. She's on the swim team, but she's been thrown out of school for being overly aggressive. I'm talking to a woman who had lost her position in a choir because her voice had changed. I'm talking to another woman who said, I've got these incredible bleeding scales on my head and I can't go to work.
They were all taking the same vitamins, recommended, they say, by Terrence Doolin, the chiropractor, now a naturopath. Doolin declined to be interviewed and denies any responsibility.
Terry had come to me in January and asked me if I thought anything was wrong, because he said there were some blood tests coming back that were funky. At that point, we had just had Hurricane Sandy come through. And a lot of people were getting sick after they were in their basements cleaning up water. And that's why he had recommended people go see this other doctor.
Right.
And they started going to see Dr. Spaeth.
We had an examination and he said to me, what is it that all of you who've come to me in the past month and a half have one commonality? You've all taken Purity First B50 vitamins.
It's estimated there are 85,000 dietary supplements for sale in the United States today.
Right here I have our liposomal D. Vitamin
So this
D
is our
for-
bacopa. This is an herb that would be great for older individuals that are
the
concerned
essential
about their
nutrients like chromium.
With so many pictures and promises, you might assume that some government agency has approved them before allowing them onto the market.
The FDA does not do any review of dietary supplements before they come onto the market, and I think that all consumers need to understand this.
No testing, no obligation to provide any evidence a product is effective or even safe. The one thing manufacturers do have to show is that they follow good manufacturing practices. The FDA conducts inspections for that, but it's limited by resources and by information.
We actually don't know the total number of manufacturers that we need to be able to inspect because there is no formal registration system that is required of manufacturers that make dietary supplements. And so we do inspections of the ones that we know about.
The FDA did know about a supplement manufacturer that used to operate here. In 2012 and again in the spring of 2013, Mira Health Products was cited by FDA inspectors for violating manufacturing codes. Among the products Mira produced, Candace Tripp's Purity First vitamins.
I had a lot of faith in Mira because he was more of a smaller scale manufacturer. He wasn't one of these big pharmaceutical company that just didn't really make you warm and fuzzy.
What did you do to try to verify that this was a reputable company that would make the product that you wanted?
They're supposed to test the product and give you an analysis at the end that what is in the capsule is what they've tested, and the certificate is supposed to be certified, and this is what your product is.
And did they give you those certificates?
I believe, yes, they did. They gave us those, and there didn't seem to be a problem.
But by 2013, there was a problem. Dr. Kenneth Spaeth, who specializes in environmental health, is a man those Purity First customers turn to investigate their symptoms. He arranged for the B50 vitamins to be tested, and the results were a shock. The capsules were laced with 2 anabolic steroids. Joe Quayler, Candace Tripp's current husband, took it up with Mira's owner.
I called Mike and said pretty much what could have happened. And, you know, he was making the male enhancement pills. And he said, Joe, he said, if they found any type of steroids in there, the only thing I could possibly think is maybe the mixer was not cleaned enough.
You know, you go to the...
By now, Purity First customers had started hiring lawyers and sharing their stories.
Change in the voice, change in the sexual organs, hair growth on a young lady with one of our clients, basically developing mustache, beard, the female sexual organs taking on a male configuration. For the men who ingested these things, they develop what's called gynecomastia. You end up with male breasts.
It would take the FDA nearly 6 months to get the Purity First vitamins off the market, a response Dr. Spaeth calls glacial. He declined to be interviewed on camera, but he shared email exchanges with us, detailing his efforts to get the FDA to act. Spaeth says he suspected contamination, but his first inquiry went unanswered. When he emailed again asking if the lack of response was a lack of interest, he was referred to the FDA's hotline for adverse reactions called MedWatch. Spaeth had tried the line, been transferred and put on hold before being disconnected twice. 5 weeks later, he was still frustrated. "Will you tell me what your plans are?" he wrote. "I have 20 very worried patients and little to offer them." Among the officials Spaeth was writing to was Daniel Fabricant, then head of the FDA's Division of Dietary Supplements.
We took that information. While it was helpful, it didn't make the whole case. We had to make the case at FDA, and we did, and remove the product successfully.
One of his biggest complaints is the amount of time it took just to get somebody to call him back. He says that one of the operators, she acted as if I was telling her that aliens put messages in my Cheerios. Now, that doesn't suggest that you've got a particularly robust system in place to allow people to report problems when they happen, right?
Well, I can assure you the government worked very quickly. The agency is acting to remove the product across the board, across the country. So it's a bit more of a heavier scientific lift than just a doctor having an intuition or a feeling about something. We had to build evidence, court-ready evidence, to take away somebody's product, somebody's manufacturing operation. And that's exactly what we did. And in doing that in 6 months, the team at the FDA worked diligently and worked quickly to do that, which was quite a successful accomplishment.
2 women from the FDA came in and they were speaking with us about how there seems to be a problem with one of our products. When we asked which product, they said, oh, that didn't matter yet. Okay. Do you want us to stop selling the product? No, you don't have to stop selling the product. Nobody died, they said.
Nobody died. Those were their words.
Their words were, nobody died. You don't have to pull the product.
If there was any concern at all, why didn't you just pull it from the market? I mean, why did you not do it yourself?
Great question. Their response to me was, people call the FDA all the time to report minor things. So don't worry about it.
The FDA strongly denies those things were said.
Some vitamins manufactured here on Long Island are triggering some health concerns.
The FDA wants to see the supplements again.
In the end, Purity First withdrew the vitamins under pressure.
Here in Farmingdale in front of Mirror Health Products.
Mirror was forced out of business by the FDA. Nobody from the company would speak to us. 36 people are now suing the companies, and no one knows how many people in total may have been harmed.
Space had brought up that it was looking for a needle in a haystack.
For Vinnie Grosso and his lawyer, it was a sobering look into a troubled world.
I was very concerned, and then I realized that this whole industry needs change. And how much danger we're all in, not just from Purity First likely, but from others that can put anything into these little bottles and put a seal and a label on it.
In 2013, the Children's Hospital of Philadelphia had had enough. Worried about the number and quality of the supplements their patients were arriving with, hospital pharmacists decided to challenge manufacturers.
Families are showing up literally with shopping bags full of dietary supplements. Regulatory issues in the United States are that you have to, if a patient brings a medication into a hospital, we have to, as pharmacists, verify that this is a quality product, it is what it says it is, it's labeled appropriately, it's being dosed appropriately, and so on.
We got fed up. We took a step back and we said, okay, we're going to ask these companies to at least meet a labeling standard. They have to send us something called a certificate of analysis, which means they've had their product analyzed by an independent party that says that what's on the labels, what's in the bottle. 90% of the companies never responded. And of the 10% that responded, of that 10%, often they would send us certificates of analysis where what was on the label wasn't even close to what was in the bottle. And these were the ones who responded to us, which made us fearful of an industry that we couldn't trust.
For example, this is a aqueous vitamin D drop. So we use vitamin D in premature infants. It says it should have 400 international units per 1 ml of solution. However, it tells us that the results are that it's 213% of the labeled value. So it's more than double what it says that it is. So if we're dosing premature infants who need very tiny doses of this drug, we're now potentially giving them double what they should get and could really put them at risk for toxicity.
In the end, only 35 supplements met the hospital standards.
I come away very worried and dismayed. I'm worried mostly about what the American public is being exposed to, because it's essentially a complete unknown. When you're buying a dietary supplement, unless you have some proof of what's in that product, it could be anything.
At the New York Botanical Gardens, you can find many of the herbs we buy in bottles in their natural state. This is black cohosh, commonly recommended to women to treat symptoms of menopause. In 2010, gynecologist David Baker decided to check out what so many of his patients were taking. He bought dozens of brands of black cohosh supplements and started testing the DNA.
30% had no black cohosh. And the samples that we found, we could identify the other plants as well. And they were from ornamental plants from China.